So I was in my third year at the University of Minnesota, and I had to take an art class. And I tried to petition out of it and say, you know what, I don't need art. I don't need to do this. And they said, no, you need to take an art class. And I figured that photography would just be the most practical for the things that I was interested in. I'll never forget the first day in the darkroom, watching the first print come up. It was like the waters parted. That was all I wanted to do since then, was make pictures. That's all I wanted to do since then.
With it, no mission ends. Precision, lack of friends. Happily recommend nothing to no one like ever.
I've been shooting in this venue for so long that trying to come up with new and different angles is a constant battle. If you shoot from the same place all the time, your pictures will start to look the same. Doing the overhead shot from the catwalk behind the upstage lighting truss, it was a different point of view, I guess. You had never seen it before. My involvement with the club started back in 1981 is when I made my first picture down here. And that was, I was working for the Minnesota Daily, and I did a portrait of Henry Rollins up by the main bar. And I became the photo editor for the paper. And I just gave myself every single assignment. After a couple years, I was just a sort of familiar face down here. So I started just doing photo work for them, pretty much in exchange for access to the club. I had a +0 on the guest list for years. And I've been under contract with them for 17 years now. My gear lives under the stage, so whenever there's an interesting show, I try to shoot it. And this is where we bring the tour buses and trailers and semis in. They've been kind enough to let me use this space as my photo studio. And luckily, it's got the most beautiful light in Minneapolis, and I've done hundreds of portraits out here. My shooting style is pretty simple. It's stand there, look here. I actually, when I'm doing a picture of somebody, tell them to look into the camera. That's actually one of my tricks. The difference between looking at this part of the camera and looking into the camera and actually through the camera, trying to make eye contact with the photographer through the little hole, you can see that in the picture when it's done. I was lucky enough to be here when that sort of the heyday of Minneapolis was taking place, and I got to do pictures of a lot of it. I mean, there was Prince and Babes in Toyland, Soul Asylum, The Replacements, Husker Du, Run Rusty Run, and Cows. Back then, getting a promo picture taken was kind of a big deal because you had to know a photographer. The joke in the old days is the promo pictures were done by either a professional photographer or the girlfriend. I can't tell you the number of jobs that I lost because girlfriends got cameras. My most famous picture is definitely the cover of Let It Be, the Replacements' Let It Be album cover. And it's funny because Filter magazine did a takeoff where they did the cast of characters from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and recreated that picture. And the photographer that did the picture for that shoot made way more money than I ever did on that picture. But I loved doing them and actually made kind of a living doing it for a long time. People look back at the mid-'80s as being the heyday of Minneapolis music. I think it's with a certain amount of nostalgia that they're saying that's the heyday and that right now isn't the heyday. Because there's just so much music going on right now. There's just such a wide variety of great stuff that it kind of makes the time back then seem quaint. My photography is informed by learning on film, where you can't just spray at stuff. So I usually look for the light that I want, and I'll get in a spot that'll allow me to capture that light, and then I'll wait for the performer to move into that spot. I shoot a lot from the side of the stage and even more behind the stage, because that's where the light's going from, and that's mostly what I'm interested in, is the light. This is a great spot to shoot from, just because I'm not in anybody's way, and I can look out over the crowd, and nobody can be up here but me. Back in the old days, when I first started shooting, I was the only photographer. There was maybe a couple other photographers, but at most shows, there were 2 or 3 photographers. The digital age has changed a lot about photography. We were doing pictures of Hanson, which is a very popular pop band, and it was a full house, which is about 1,500 people in here. And the sea of little viewfinders on the floor was just so mind-boggling. That changes everything, you know, where everybody's a photographer. Who isn't a photographer? You know, it's just, I made a living as a photographer for 25 years. And the digital age made that almost impossible to keep on doing. That's the shot. When I worked at City Pages, I think I made $50 an assignment, and then it was like $75 assignment, then $100 assignment. And then it kind of like, okay, well, we'll give you the $100, but now we want 5 pictures instead. And then it's like, well, you know what, we'll give you $75, but we want 30 pictures. When I finally gave up, I think they wanted like 50 pictures for $50. It's like, well, that's $1 a picture, and that's just, I can't do it anymore. So I basically applied for a job here as a stagehand, and I've been working full-time since. First Avenue is just, it's an incredible venue, and bands love coming here, and one of the reasons they love coming here is the venue itself, the room itself, but also the people that take care of them while they're here, the stagehands. And I love being part of the reason that bands love coming here. One of the guys that worked here, Micah, called this place a pirate ship that goes nowhere. And the more I'm around here, the more that just keeps on ringing truer and truer. Just taking care of the place during the day, it's like taking care of an old ship. Everything, you know, has to be scrubbed and painted, swabbed. Part of my job as stagehand is I'm one of the first people in here, and I'm the last one to leave. I actually mop the stage at the end of the night. That job usually goes to the rookie on the crew, but I love doing it so much that it's just, if I'm working, I get to mop the stage. And you know, it's kind of an honor.
Minnesota Original is made possible by the State Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.